Up to this point in the compassion has played a subtle but important role in our meditation practice. In fact, compassion and especially self-compassion may be the most important component of mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's the oil that makes the gears of mindfulness work. Without it, the practices are at best dry and at worst harsh and counterproductive. At the heart of our lack of compassion for ourselves is the lie that many of us grew up with. In order to be successful, we must not only work hard, but we must be hard on ourselves. In some mindfulness circles, the linkage between mindfulness and compassion is not very explicit, focusing almost exclusively on strengthening concentration and the ability to stay with present moment experience. This has made the mindfulness movement vulnerable to the argument that, for instance, there could be such a thing as a mindful terrorist or a mindful bank robber. Of course, something seems very wrong with this, since kindness and compassion are at the core of almost every meditative tradition. So this week, we explore our natural tendency to connect and care about others and consider the value and potential of being compassionate even beyond our closest relationships. Most people don't have any problem with seeing compassion as a thoroughly commendable quality. It seems to refer to an amalgam of unquestionably good qualities like kindness, mercy, tenderness, benevolence, understanding, empathy, sympathy, and fellow feeling, along with an impulse to help other living creatures, human or animal, in distress. But we seem less sure about self-compassion. For many, it carries the whiff of all those other bad self terms like self-pity, self-serving, self-indulgence, self-centered, just plain selfish. Even many generations removed from our culture's Puritan origins, we still seem to believe that if we aren't blaming and punishing ourselves for something, we risk moral complacency, runaway egotism, and the sin of false pride. Many people in our culture have misgivings about the idea of self-compassion, perhaps because they don't really know what it looks like, much less about how to practice it. Often the practice of self-compassion is identified with the practice of mindfulness, now as ubiquitous as sushi in the West. But while mindfulness, with its emphasis on being experientially open to and aware of our own suffering without being caught up in it and swept away by aversive reactivity, is necessary for self-compassion. It leaves out an essential ingredient. What distinguishes self-compassion is that it goes beyond accepting our experience as it is and adds something more, embracing the experiencer, that being ourselves, with warmth and tenderness when our experience is painful. Self-compassion also includes an element of wisdom, recognition of our common humanity. This means accepting the fact that along with everyone else on the planet, we're flawed and imperfect individuals, just as likely as anyone else to be hit by the slings and arrows of outrageous but perfectly normal misfortune. This sounds obvious, but it's funny how easily we forget. We fall into the trap of believing that things are supposed to go well and that when we make a mistake or some difficulty comes along, something must have gone terribly wrong. Feeling that certain things shouldn't be happening makes us feel both ashamed and isolated. At those times, remembering that we aren't really alone in our suffering, that hardship and struggle are deeply embedded in the human condition, can make a radical difference. And fortunately, this isn't just wishful thinking about another self-help approach. In fact, there's now an impressive and growing body of research demonstrating that relating to ourselves in a kind, friendly manner is essential for emotional well-being. Not only does it help us avoid the inevitable consequences of harsh self-judgments, depression, anxiety, and stress, it also engenders a happier and more hopeful approach to life. More pointedly, research proves false many of the common myths about self-compassion that keep us trapped in the prison of relentless self-criticism. Like, for instance, self compassion is a form of self pity. That's one of the biggest myths about self compassion is that it means feeling sorry for yourself. In fact, my own experience this exemplifies self compassion is an antidote to self pity and the tendency to whine about our bad luck. This isn't about self compassion allows you to tune out the bad stuff. In fact, it makes us more willing to accept, experience, and acknowledge difficult feelings with kindness, which paradoxically helps us process and let go of them more fully. Research shows that self-compassionate people are less likely to get swallowed up by self-pitying thoughts about how bad things are. That's one of the reasons self-compassionate people have better mental health. A study by Philippe Race at the University of Leuven examined the association of self-compassion with ruminative thinking and mental health among undergraduates at his university. He first assessed how participants were using the self-report self-compassion scale that was developed in 2003 by Dr. Krista Neff, which asks respondents to indicate how often they engage in behaviors corresponding to the main elements of self-compassion. Examples included statements such as, I try to be understanding and patient toward aspects of my personality I don't like. When things are going badly for me, I see the difficulties as part of life that everyone goes through. And when something painful happens, I try to take a balanced view of the situation. Rays found that participants with higher levels of self-compassion tended to brood less about their misfortune. Moreover, they found that their reduced tendency to ruminate helped to explain why self-compassion participants reported fewer symptoms of anxiety and depression. Another myth is that self-compassion means weakness. So what someone believing this wouldn't know is that instead of being a weakness, there's research that has been discovered that self-compassion is one of the most powerful sources of coping and resilience available to us. When we go through major life crises, self-compassion appears to make all the difference in our ability to survive and even thrive. You might assume that being a tough guy, stuffing down your feelings and not admitting how much pain you might be in is what gets you through. But it wasn't through. It's being stuck. And self-compassion is the missing piece that would probably help to move on. Another one is self-compassion will make me complacent. And perhaps the biggest block of self-compassion is the belief that it'll undermine our motivation to push ourselves to do better. The idea is that if we don't criticize ourselves for failing to live up to our standards, we'll automatically succumb to slothful defeatism. Let's think for a moment how parents successfully motivate children. There's now a good deal of research clearly showing that self-compassion is a far more effective force for personal motivation than self-punishment. For instance, a series of research experiments by Juliana Bernice and Serena Chen of the University of California at Berkeley examined whether helping undergraduate students to be more self-compassionate would motivate them to engage in positive change. In one study, participants were asked to recall a recent action they felt guilty about, such as cheating on an exam, lying to a romantic partner, saying something harmful. It still made them feel bad about themselves when they thought about it. Next, they were randomly assigned to one or three conditions. In the self-compassion condition, participants were instructed to write to themselves for 3 minutes from the perspective of a compassionate and understanding friend. In the second condition, participants were instructed to write about their own positive qualities. And in the third, they wrote about a hobby they enjoyed. These two control conditions helped differentiate self-compassion from positive self-talk and positive mood in general. The researchers found that participants who were helped to be self-compassionate about their recent transgression reported being more motivated to apologize for the harm done and more committed to not repeating the behavior again than those in the control conditions. Self-compassion, far from being a way to evade personal accountability, actually strengthens it. We can acknowledge our failures and misdeeds with kindness, like I really messed up when I got so mad. But I was stressed, and I guess all people overreact sometimes. Rather than judgment, like, I can't believe I said that, I'm such a horrible, mean person. It's much safer to see ourselves clearly. When we can see beyond the distorting lens of harsh self judgment, we get in touch with other parts of ourselves, the parts that care and want everyone, including ourselves, to be as healthy and happy as possible. This provides the encouragement and support needed to do our best and try again. A fourth myth of the, and plan to do 5 here, is self-compassion is narcissistic. And in American culture, high self-esteem requires standing out in a crowd, being special and above average. How do you feel when someone calls your work performance or parenting skills or intelligence level average? The problem, of course, it's impossible for everyone to be above average at the same time. We may excel in some areas, but there's always someone more attractive, successful, intelligent than we are, meaning we feel like failures whenever we compare ourselves to those better than us. The desire to see ourselves as better than average, however, to get and keep the elusive feeling of high self-esteem can lead to downright nasty behavior. Why do early adolescents begin to bully other people? If I can be seen as the cool, tough kid in contrast to the wimpy nerd I just picked on, I get a self-esteem boost. Why are we so prejudiced? If I believe that my ethnic, gender, national, political group is better than yours, I get a self-esteem boost. The emphasis placed in self-esteem in American society has led to a worrying trend. Researchers John Twang of San Diego State University and Keith Campbell of the University of Georgia, who've tracked the narcissism score of college students since 1987, found that the narcissism of modern-day students is at the highest level ever recorded. They attribute the rise in narcissism to well-meaning but misguided parents and teachers who tell kids how special and great they are in an attempt to raise their self-esteem. There's more on this. They have a book called The Narcissism Epidemic, I believe it's called. But self-compassion is different from self-esteem. Although they're both strongly linked to psychological well-being, self-esteem is a positive evaluation of self-worth, while self-compassion isn't a judgment or an evaluation at all. Instead, self-compassion is a way of relating to the ever-changing landscape of who we are with kindness and acceptance, especially when we fail to feel in it or feel inadequate. In other words, self-esteem requires feeling better than others, whereas self-compassion requires acknowledging that we share the human condition of imperfection. Self-esteem is also inherently fragile, bouncing up and down according to our latest success or failure. And the fifth and final, self-compassion is selfish. So many people are suspicious of self-compassion because they conflate it with selfishness. But is compassion really a zero-sum game? Think about the times you've been lost in the throes of self-criticism. Are you self-focused or other-focused in that moment? Do you have more or fewer resources to give to others? Most people find that when they're absorbed in self-judgment, they actually have little bandwidth left over to think about anything other than their inadequate, worthless selves. In fact, beating yourself up can be a paradoxical form of self-centeredness. When we can be kind and nurturing to ourselves, however, many of the emotional needs are met, leaving us in a better position to focus on others. Unfortunately, the ideal of being modest, self-effacing, and caring for the welfare of others often comes with the corollary that we must treat ourselves badly. This is especially true for women who research indicates tend to have slightly lower levels of self-compassion than men, even while they tend to be more caring, empathetic, and giving toward others. Perhaps this isn't so surprising, given that women are socialized to be caregivers who selflessly to open their hearts to husbands, children, friends, and elderly parents, but aren't taught to care for themselves. And while revolutions have helped expand the roles available, and we now see more leaders in business and politics than ever before, the idea that women should be selfless caregivers hasn't really gone away. It's just that they are now supposed to be successful at their careers in addition to being ultimate nurturers at home. The irony is that being good to yourself actually helps you be good to others, while being bad to yourself only gets in the way. The research literature is unclear about whether self compassion is actually necessary to be compassionate to others, given that many people do a pretty good job of caring for others while shortchanging themselves. However, a growing body of research indicates that self compassion helps people sustain the act of caring for others. Because we evolved as social beings, exposure to other people's tales of suffering activates the pain centers of our own brains through a process of empathetic resonance. When we witness the suffering of others on a daily basis, we can experience personal distress to the point of burning out, and caregivers who are especially sensitive and empathetic may be more at risk. At the same time, when we give ourselves compassion, we create a protective buffer, allowing us to understand and feel for the suffering people without being drained by his or her suffering. The people we care for then pick up our compassion through their own process of empathetic resonance. In other words, the compassion we cultivate for others directly transmits itself to others. When we care tenderly for ourselves in response to suffering, our hearts open. Compassion engages our capacity for love, wisdom, courage, and generosity. It's a mental and emotional state that's boundless and directionless, grounded in the great spiritual traditions of the world, but available to every person simply by virtue of being human. In a surprising twist, the nurturing power of self-compassion is now being illuminated by the matter-of-fact, tough-minded methods of empirical science. And a growing body of research and literature is demonstrating conclusively that self-compassion is not only central to mental health, but can be enriched through learning and practice, just like so many other good habits. Therapists have known for a long time that being kind to ourselves isn't, as is too often believed, a selfish luxury, but the exercise of a gift that makes us happier. Now, finally, science is proving the point as well. So for today's meditation, it can be done in any position and begins by taking a moment to be aware of any thoughts or feelings you may be experiencing right now, acknowledging how things are for you right now. And when you are ready, beginning to bring awareness to body, feeling your feet, legs, hips, lower and upper body, arms, shoulders, neck, head. Beginning to feel the movement of your breath, the actual sensations of breathing, reminding yourself that you are here, alive and whole. When you're ready, you might bring to mind the image of a person who you know or you've known in your life to be loving and kind to you, someone who easily evokes feelings of warmth and love. It could be a spouse or a partner, parent or family member, a mentor or a close friend, someone who has been good to you, helps you feel safe and whole, whose caring easily emanates from them to you. And if a person, past or present, doesn't come to mind, maybe someone who you know to be inspirational may come. Someone it is easy to imagine sending wishes of well-being to, wishing them well. And if it feels right, imagining saying to them, may you be happy, healthy, and whole. And picturing them receiving your wishes for them. May you have love, warmth, and affection. May you be protected from harm and free from fear. May you be alive, engaged, and joyful. May you experience inner peace and ease. You may have your own words and wishes for them, so feel free to use words that resonate with you. Taking a few minutes now to feel how it is to wish these things for them, letting yourself have the sense of the wishes for well being emanating from you to them, connecting you to them, noticing how it feels inside you as you send these wishes of well being to this person you love or care about. When you are ready, seeing if you can imagine this person or figure wishing these very same things for you, knowing that they have your well being in their heart, imagining them saying to you, may you be happy, healthy, and whole. May you have love, warmth, and affection in your life. Imagining them close to you, feeling their presence and unconditional love for you, as they say. May you be protected from harm and free from fear. May you be alive, engaged, and joyful. May you experience inner peace and ease. Letting those feelings wash over you, feeling their unconditional love and caring for you, letting the feelings of love and safety grow in you, knowing there is nothing you have to do to deserve these feelings and wishes, that they are given freely without condition. Seeing if you can connect to the meaning of these phrases, even if you might not feel all the safety and warmth right now, knowing that it is their wish for you. And now seeing if you can have these wishes for yourself, hearing yourself say to yourself, may I be happy and healthy and loved. May I be safe and protected. May I be alive and free. May I experience inner peace and ease. May I have loved ones for whom it's also easy to have these wishes for. And if it feels right, saying to them in your own way and with your own words, may you be happy and healthy and loved in your life. May you be safe and protected and not suffer. May you be alive and joyful. May you have inner peace and ease. If it feels right, seeing if there are others in your life you can extend these good wishes to. Saying to yourself, to them, may you be happy and healthy and loved in your life. May you be safe and protected, free from harm. May you be alive and joyful. And may you have inner peace and ease. Might even be possible to expand even further out to acquaintances, people you know of but don't have a personal relationship with, people you see around your town, your neighbors, even people you don't have strong feelings about, like, I don't know, the clerk that checks you out at at the grocery store, saying to these people, may you be happy and healthy and loved. May you be safe and protected, free from suffering. May you be alive, engaged, and joyful. And may you have inner peace and ease. And even if the wishes aren't infused with the same warmth and love as they were with loved ones, seeing if you can extend the wish without the expectation that it should make you or them feel in any particular way. Connecting with what these wishes represent. Keeping these people in your awareness as you send these good wishes. Wishing for them to be healthy and whole. Wishing for them to have aliveness and love in their lives. And if you feel strong and secure and you're comfortable with this, you might try extending these wishes to someone who's difficult for you right now. Not necessarily the most difficult person in your life, just someone for whom there's been some sort of frustration or misunderstanding. In doing this, it might help to remember that just like you, they want to be loved, and just like you, they want peace in their life. And you could say to yourself, just like me, they want to feel happiness and joy. Just like me, they want peace and ease. They want to be loved and to know their loved ones are safe and healthy. And just like me, they are doing the best they can with what inner and outer resources they have. And if this feels possible to you, silently saying to them, may you feel peace and ease. Remembering that if this were really true for them, that they would certainly be easier to get along with. May you have love and warmth in your life. May you be happy, healthy, and whole. Even if this is difficult, there's value in noticing what it's like to extend the wish, recognizing that you are not condoning their actions, but seeing them as a human being with some of the same needs as you, to be loved, to be safe, to be at peace. And if this is possible, remember the circle that began with yourself and the persons you love the most, family and friends, extending the circle to include all the many people you don't know who may live far away in other countries or cultures, saying, may you be happy and healthy. May you have peace and ease. May May you have love and warmth in your life. You could even imagine extending these wishes to include all the wildlife and the plants, all life on our planet and beyond, including ourselves, saying, may we all be happy and healthy. May we all be safe and protected. May we all live together in peace, ease, and happiness. Now, as this meditation comes to an end, taking time to appreciate and feel what's been generated through this practice. And even if there have been difficult parts of this practice, knowing that this practice has the potential to increase your sense of aliveness and connection and of belonging. When you are ready, letting yourself feel again your physical presence, sensations of your body, feet, upper torso, neck and head. Beginning to notice the movement of your own breath, bringing aliveness and nourishment to your body as a whole, just as your wishes of goodwill bring aliveness and nourishment to those around you.